brakes and the front upright, because over October last year and in the months following, that was one of the biggest focuses of the work you were doing.
Yeah.
And as you and I had that conversation a little while ago, we really delved into it. It was really fascinating to me what you'd come up with, particularly in the front upright redesign.
Yeah.
And I think people deserve to know
Okay. Cool.
to know about it. So if
Alrighty.
you want to start us off by having a chat about the wheels, because and as I realised in my original conversation with Allan audience, was that the wheels, the brakes and the front upright, naturally they're all connected, but the choices made for the wheel had a direct impact on the brakes, which then had a direct impact on the actual design of the upright itself. Sure. And it was that interconnectivity and how it influenced what you were doing at the drawing board. Or was the name of the podcast?
Drawing board, yes.
That was really interesting to me. So if you would please tell us about these wheels.
So the wheels. So we're recreating the 037 with our full space frame chassis design and that sort of thing. And so because we're using the same chassis basic design and same suspension design with the geometry unchanged from the original car, that sort of thing, we then have to look at parts availability for the suspension stuff, and basically unless you've got a really huge budget, it becomes a little bit crippling for buying suspension parts and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just very rare is the big thing. Like you did the math on your calculator, how old the car is.
Happy birthday, 45 years this year, 037. If we take, say it's born in 1981, that's when it was homologated. 45 years old this birthday, so... it's not going to happen.
Not a lot of spares.
No,
so
not
we've
a lot
got
of
to get
spares
creative.
left. We'll get creative. So, so we're building a full space frame recreation of the 037, and what do you know? It's a gravel rally car. Oh, well, bugger me, that's really awesome. It's going to go on gravel. So we're building our car to go on gravel, and so we have to think about, the wheel, gravel wheel, 15-inch, that's the basic gravel wheel. Tyre combination is a 15-inch rally tyre. So we're going to build our car so that it can handle that wheel size.
But there's one issue.
Yeah.
As in my notes here.
Yeah.
The original car had a very specific wheel offset and width, and that is the tricky part.
Yeah. So Lancia did, they've done a lot more work and engineering in their lifetimes than little old me. So let's have a look at what they did, and we'll just, err on the side of caution and say, Lancia know more about it than me, so we'll just do what they did. Okay, so they had a huge offset inwards of the front wheel in relation to the hub unit, and that in the two-wheel drive car reduced the amount of feedback through the steering through rough stages and that sort of thing. So it made the car much nicer to drive and that sort of thing.
Cool.
And if they were running on a faster surface, they might have a different offset, and then if they're on tarmac, they'll have a different offset again, because there's not as much feedback coming through or whatever. So we need to cater for the smallest wheel size that has the most set in of the tyre in relation to the outside of the hub, and so happen to have a set of those wheels lying around that we bought from Italy, and so we know what the offset is, and basically we've gone out looking for a 15-inch modern rally wheel which will accommodate that offset. And
that's the challenge, because not many people make such a wheel. We also need a lot of them, because it being a rally car, we're thinking the people who buy a Rebel 037, they want to take it rallying. Wheels are like a consumable part.
They
for rally
are a consumable
cars.
item, especially well, both ends of the car are very consumable. The rears, they just rub out the inside of the rims, even when you've got wheel scrapers and that sort of thing on. And then the fronts naturally tend to hit objects that bugger them up and that sort of thing. Hopefully that's not a swear word. We'll get away with that one. Okay.
I can always mute it. And then the third sort of challenge really is what modern performance brakes can fit into that specific wheel size we've got.
Right.
So it's kind of like the trifecta of challenges.
Yeah,
but we did find a good company to work with.
Yep, we have. So we've got a wheel supplier, and so our rally wheel, it is looking a little bit different to the original wheel, but that's not really an issue. The issue is to get a disposable wheel that we can use, and we've got a supplier for that. So they'll be supplying the wheel for the front and for the rear. They're in different offsets and different widths. The 037 two-wheel drive car runs a very narrow front wheel, and that assists in cutting through soft material to get traction for cornering and that sort of thing, and stability and that sort of stuff. So that's cool. We're going to keep with that sort of setup, and because we're retaining the geometry of the original 037, we have the parameters that we need to work with in building the rest of our suspension. So we've got this 15-inch wheel. We've got the drawings from the manufacturer that show us the shape of the inside of the wheel in relation to the hub and that sort of thing. So we've incorporated that into our drawings, and basically we've gone to 2 brake manufacturers who were very happy to give us the amount of information that we required so that we could introduce a brake disc and a caliper into that wheel rim. So we've got 2 manufacturers, one who's an entry-level brake supplier for us, and one who's a high-end brake supplier. So we're covering our bases with a brake package that fits under our 15-inch wheel that's high-end, entry-level for an 037, and now that we have the positioning of the brake disc and the caliper within that wheel, that helps us determine where on the upright or the hub carrier we're going to place the brake mountings.
Yeah, so I'm just reading in here that and as you talked about before, several days before, we're going to use the radial mounted calipers.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was. Not a mechanic, not an engineer, but when you explain it to me, I'm like, that's really cool. Everyone should do that.
Yeah.
And the reason we're going with this is that we want to give buyers the option. So if they want to do like high speed, say like tarmac racing or big hill climb stuff, they can fit a larger brake as they wish. So it can be quite flexible. So do you want to discuss that a little bit? So there's a modern sort of evolution of brake calipers and that sort of thing, and now they're radial mounted. So the bolts, instead of going axially with the hub, they go radially towards the hub. And so if you want to make your brake package fit a larger diameter brake disc, you space the caliper out by just using round cylindrical spacers and longer bolts or longer studs to mount the caliper out further. And so that gives you the flexibility. Did the original 037 use that?
No, the original 037 had lug-mounted calipers, and so they would have had a range of different calipers, different brake disc setups. So, they would be carrying a huge spares package to travel with the car for the different types of surface that it might be running on and that sort of thing. So like if they're doing a multi-day event and there's gravel and then there's tarmac and that sort of thing, I think you'll find that their service park times were quite bit larger than what you have now, and so they'd be able to do complete brake package changeovers and that sort of thing, or they'd just change out a complete hub assembly.
There's ways around it that could be more practical, like in the world of competition at that high end. I think it's like a lot of the choices they made on that car is just because there was limited time. Like they needed to get a really good car out fast.
But they didn't have stuff like radial mount calipers like we have now. So when people talk about modern, what are we utilising that's modern, the new computer, everything, blah, blah, blah.
Better than it was.
Okay, well, here we go. We're going to chuck in this brake package that is a modern brake package that will work for us with our 15-inch wheel, but then we can grow it up to a tarmac spec and that sort of thing, which is not an issue for us. The other really cool thing we're using in our new upright is a bolt-in hub bearing assembly that has the hub flange and the bearing unit all in one piece. You can take it off the shelf and bolt it into the car. It's a lot faster to fit and that sort of thing.
Way better for just maintenance. And
yes,
just getting
and it's a modern part, so the parts cheaper availability is going to be better and that sort of thing. Just like a no-brainer. So it's all about availability, serviceability. We're building a rally car. We need to be able to get in there and service it and do stuff to it. Between service changes and that sort of thing, and so it's going to be really great.
No, I'm excited about it.
Cool.
I have like a little fun fact here, and it's just sort of further to that conversation about allowing customers to fit larger brakes like as they progress or as they change discipline or whatever. And I've got the example here, like say we designed our car with a 17-inch wheel and we fit the biggest brakes that we could into that wheel. That would make it so difficult for the buyer to then adapt their car to a rally setup because they would have to re-engineer the entire hub. And I thought the really interesting comment, this is a bit of a side tangent, but it's kind of could be a reason why in grassroots rallying or sort of more like local, like national tiers, there's not a large variety in the cars you see there because not many modern cars have brake packages that fit in a 15-inch.
That's right.
That's interesting to me.
I mean,
it's cool.
There are things that you can do to make the car usable, but you have to go through the ordeal of finding out which brake package will fit under a 15-inch and then adapting it to your hub, your upright assembly and that sort of thing. So I mean, because we're primarily designing for gravel initially, it's a gravel car, so that's what has the smallest wheel size. So we've got certain parameters that we're not going to change.
Yeah, this leads into the front upright discussion itself, actually. I'm sorry, but there is like secret squirrel information, so you guys can't see this very well.
I don't think you'll be able to zoom in on that one. We'll fuzz it out a bit there,
but we've got this is a clean sheet design. That's a big deal, but the important part is that we have these sort of non-negotiable pieces of bits in the geometry that is straight off the original car.
Yes.
Because we're never changing that,
Never
changing the recipe.
It's
about how you have your A and
it.
your B. That's what they developed in the factory. That's gone through all that testing and it won the championship. So don't change that. How you get from A to B, that can be adjusted a little bit. And that's the core principle behind the front upright design. So that means the Rebel cars will handle like the original 037, but there's distinct benefits to having a clean sheet design like this, right? I guess one of them being we're going to put this design into CAD so that we can CNC machine it so that it's cheaper to produce.
So we've got we've drawn the basic design of the hub assembly, and we've got all the measurements on there, and we've covered all the parameters from the original 037. So we've built it all into our hub on the drawing board, and then we've got a really great engineering outfit who are going to convert my drawings into a CAD design, into a 3D model, so that we can then introduce that into our 3D model of the space frame chassis, and we're going to put all the suspension in there and that sort of thing. It's going to look lovely and be really
Instagrammable
and Facebookable and all that sort of stuff. But the really important thing is that this engineer that we've gone to, who's going to do the CAD drawing of the 3D modelling of the upright, they also do 5-axis CNC machining, and they make some really amazing stuff. And so they're going to do their amazing stuff with our upright. They already do some uprights for different motorsport cars, and I've seen what they've produced, and I'm really rapt to be able to work with them on our 037 project. The Rebel uprights are going to be really cool, and it's really exciting. So it's really cool. So we might talk about some of the design
Yes,
things.
because I've just been itching to bring this up. So it's got mounting points for both the entry-level brake package and the high performance, and I just think that's so cool, just pulling it back to a less engineering focused line of thinking, because that means that if you buy a Rebel 037, you can start out with the entry level brakes, and then as you become a rally god, you can basically put the really good ones in, but you don't actually need to swap out the front upright. You don't need to take it into the mechanic, have it up on the hoist for days while I mess around with it. No, you just nah, so New Zealand. No, you just unbolt your caliper and everything, and then you just place a new one in, and then you could be driving conceivably again within a day. And I'm sure if you've got a rally service, a service crew or something like that, you know, not that you'd be changing brakes mid-stage, but it probably just goes to show it's a quick thing. And helps people be flexible with what they want from their car without having to just break the bank and be having to wait ages every time. I just think that's really cool. So do you want to chat about that?
So the other thing is it gives the gods at Rebel the opportunity to sell the car at different option levels and that sort of thing without having to have a major headache with re-engineering certain things to get, you know, a high-end car or a low-end car or whatever. I mean, we won't call it a low-end car, it's an entry-level car.
It's still awesome.
I mean, it's still an amazing car, and it will work so much better than anything else out there. So the really cool, exciting thing is that when we do our prototype car, it will be in entry-level spec, and so William will be driving that entry-level spec car and showing what it can do, improving it and that sort of thing. And that's going to show to you guys out there that, hey, I can buy the entry-level car and look at it. It's freaking awesome. It's amazing, and it's doing so well. And have that, that backup and knowledge and be, it's going to be really good. And so that's what instead of having to purchase the top tier car or whatever.
You don't have to feel pressured into having to buy the top model, because we can show to you guys that the entry level still just is amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what William's going to do.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. And so this is centerline of the upright, and what we're doing is we're having the brake mountings on both sides of the upright. And so for parts and servicing and that sort of thing, and if you're carrying spares package with your car, you only need to carry basically one upright, because it'll do the right and the left side of the car.
Yeah, I thought that was such a good idea. I was just thinking about it. That would just make stuff so easy. Because I remember when we were helping, you were helping William.
Yes.
And one of William's cars is a Mitsubishi Lancia Evo 6.
Yep.
And you were doing all that work on it at one of the service stops, frantically switching stuff out. And if
if he didn't have the correct caliper, if he didn't have the correct side, then it would be problematic.
Over.
And the other thing is that our entry-level caliper supplier, their calipers are ambidextrous as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't even know that.
It's all going from strength to strength. So so we have the brake caliper mounting on both sides of the upright, and we've used a ball joint for the top and the bottom. That's the same ball joint, and it's a load bearing ball joint for the bottom, and in the top it doesn't need to be load bearing, but because it's built that strong to be load bearing, it'll be fine for the top mounting as well. So we've got all those sorts of things in there, and our steering arm mounting to the upright is central in the top, and so that can be ambidextrous as well, although you will need a right and a left because of the taper lock and that sort of thing. So that's cool. And yeah, I think that's basically it.
One more really epic thing, actually.
Yes.
It's the very bottom of my little notes.
Yes.
This upright design is also compatible with the all-wheel drive 537, which is like, that's a pretty big deal. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no point in us, designing too many of these things, but we're thinking about everything all at the same time, and it all gets a bit jumbled in your brain. But yeah, this upright we'll be using on the all-wheel drive 037, so that's really cool. And so it's perfection, really, I think. And so I'm really I'm really excited about it. It's really great. We've got something that's going to work really, really well, and that's cool. And we also, because we're using a late model bolt-in hub unit into the upright, we'll actually allow ourselves to fit an ABS sensor to the upright. It will have a mounting point for an ABS sensor, but we won't be using that ABS sensor for anything other than maybe something like a trip meter or something like that. You may want to use those ABS sensors for traction control, and you may be thinking you need ABS and all that sort of thing, but that's your department, that's not ours. We're not going to bother with that sort of stuff, because we want the rebel to be rebellious.
It's got to be
so
classic.
it's just it's going to be a cool car that just grips you, and you've got to drive it. It's not driving you, sort of thing. So that's cool. So that's our front upright, and so we've
brakes
covered
and
the wheels, the brakes, and the upright itself. So I think we're pretty happy with it, and we can't wait to show you when we're ready. Maybe soon we can have a little follow-up episode to this, and we can and here is the machined upright. Oh, that's right.
And it's like, don't scan it and steal it.
Cool. Yes, well, it's very interesting, the
scanning
stuff and that sort of thing is quite interesting. But that's probably a podcast for another day. The scanning thing. We'll get into scanning.
The podcast episode where we talk about why we hate using modern design technology and why we have the drawing board.
That's right, indeed.
We got to talk about the cardboard aided design at some point.
Oh, okay, we'll get there. It'll be all
the
good.
sibling of computer aided design.
Awesome.
All right.